Philippines to Colombia to right here in North America. These struggles at the base of these wars is all ultimately about the control of territories and resources. Victoria Tolakopis makes the comment in her collection Paradigm Wars, Indigenous Peoples' Resistance to Globalization, quote, that rapidly increasing so-called ethnic conflicts in the world are really pitting Indigenous peoples, asserting our rights over our territories, against the global institutions that want to separate us from our land, end quote. The solution is really quite simple. There is an ongoing process. It is a global, interconnected process. I'm not talking about the Illuminati and all this kind of stuff. I'm talking about there is a global agenda to homogenize, consume, and destroy Indigenous nations at every turn. Indigenous nations, yet, in the face of these odds, maintain ourselves as different and diverse than this ongoing trend in face of incredible odds. And here's what I mean by that. Here is just a few examples of what Indigenous nations of the North and Southern Hemisphere in this side of the world look like. Every single line, every single name, and even these maps are not detailed enough. Indigenous nations pose an incredible threat to the Westphalian nation state, particularly in North America and Europe, and that everyone else has been forced to swallow. Oddly, we're not that far off from the historical ideas Europeans had of nations. Indigenous nations aren't really all that far off until the nation state begins to arise in the 19th century, because, nationhood, still Ernest Renan's concept that the nation is an imagined principle. It's based on shared religion or spirituality or interest, shared geography, and a consciousness. What he calls a rich legacy of memories, the desire to live together, the will to perpetuate the value of the heritage that one has received in an undivided form. Well, Indigenous nations have a similar concept in which we form ourselves. It's not that nations are a problem, it's the rise of the nation-state ideal. It's the rise of industrialization, and particularly the movements just before World War I and heading into World War II, and the insatiable hunger for lands, resources, profit, and money. This brought the rise of greed and theft and protectionism, or what I often hear of this is mine, that's yours. The notion of, in the 19th century, of an evolutionary model of human community, which we can see all the way into Darwinian cultural evolution, starting with the tribe, and then some sense of savagery, ending with the great Westphalian nation state, and notions of sovereignty and separatism. Even notions of sovereignty and separatism are often framed in the paradigm of the rise of the nation state. Fixed borders, the kind of concept of fixed borders that really emerge after World War II, are always present in the ideal now